Thank you very much.
Oh, perfect. That was fantastic. Close to my own heart, that presentation actually as well. Really glad you came on, Helen. Delighted I actually got you in the end. Thanks so much for sharing. The question there on Instagram, there's a few other questions that came in. Let's just pull that up. So there's one on chat, Helen, which is, let's see, yeah,
how can someone undo their negative defaults subconscious? Yeah. That's a really good, can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
that's a really good question. What I would say to you is, if we're just talking something that's been with you in childhood, because that's actually a lot of times our paradigms and the thought process have been with us since childhood. But the best way to do that is to decide what you want. So let me think of something, if I give you an example. So say from childhood, like in my childhood, well, we were always rewarded with lovely food and eating, right? Which means that a lot of people can end up being overweight in our family. So what I always, but how I've changed my subconscious is I'm so happy and grateful that I love to eat healthy food, and I've lovely different ways that I reward myself. But it's not what I say, which is part of it. It's what you say and how often you say it. So you want to create an affirmation that you say at least 30, 60, 90 days until it's something that just becomes part of you and you change that habit. So the way you change that subconscious is two ways: that negative emotional impact that I mentioned, or constant space repetition, repeating it, saying it over and over again. And then what happens is your conscious mind, your thinking mind, takes that in. Your subconscious mind can't think, it just absorbs what's coming from your conscious mind, and it'll change. I hope that makes sense.
No, 100% it does. Completely makes sense, actually. I think that I want to feedback to you as well, and I've got some more questions here, because I think that
sure. Sorry.
You spoke about hope out as opposed to burnout, which is quite interesting. And you've mentioned already there about the subconscious beliefs and how we can overwrite them. Your vibe is your tribe, work smart, not hard. I think personally myself, Helen, when I get stagnant sometimes, I always go back to my goals, because the common theme this evening is distractions, right? We've got distractions everywhere. Even if you don't turn the TV on, there's distractions, be it like from the phone to Pete and all these things, And it's funny you mentioned having a plan. The plan changes, but the goal doesn't. I think a lot of the stuff you're talking about, I'm on the same wavelength, because I always talk about having a goal. The goal can change, but the direction, it's the same thing. When you, like financial independence, if someone takes that as a purpose to get them out of bed, the goal can change, right? You can say, right, this strategy and the economy's change and you pivot and stuff. But when you talk about having a very clear goal of, I want to hit 100K in 3 years or whatever, 30% by put 30% effort in, there's a clear, distinct goal. And I personally, anyway, I think I do this stuff without knowing. So I often think about things and then they happen. It sounds really weird, but I see things before they happen. And it happens regularly to me. I don't have a special power, but I think I do that without thinking about it. So I think, but I don't just say things, but I visualize. I see myself do it or have it before it happens, and it kind of happens. So I think this is something that you're talking about that makes sense, 95% mindset, 5% strategy. So emotion, what do they say? Emotion is motion, which becomes action. So I really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dave. I very much appreciate it.
Question here: how does someone get there, Helen?
How does someone get where? To their goal?
Yeah. So, for example, their goal. Yours was 100K. It's very clear. How do they get there?
Thank you. I love that question, because that's the one that I think trips everybody up, because it's like, I need to know the how. I need to know the how, right? That's why most people stay in the B-type goals, because they can kind of figure out the how in their mind. It's not our job to figure out the how. Our job is just to set our goal and to keep going forward, and things present themselves. Because you know what you said there, Dave, about sometimes you think about things and then they come your way. I was always like that, and I never understood. So the how is okay. So the how is simple. You keep saying over what you want. And then when you see the big thing is if you see an opportunity come to you, if you hear you see something, you have to think about it, and then you need to act on it very quickly. Because if you dismiss it, a lot of times you'll miss the opportunities that's there. But if you keep saying your goal and saying what you're looking to do, opportunities will come your way, because it's like a radio frequency. The first law of science and in law of the universe, and it's funny, is that vibration. It's not that we hear all about the law of attraction, it's vibration. So if we're all on this very positive, things will come your way, ideas, plans, opportunities, people to help you, so your job is just to keep saying what you want and keep moving forward. I mean, if you sit on your couch and do nothing, it's not going to come. But if you keep moving forward, things will be presented to you.
I looked this up online, and they say that in the same way finances aren't taught to people, money's not taught in school, we're taught to believe all these things about the healthcare system and stuff, that we're only ever taught about 5 senses. What is it? Smell, see, hear, taste, whatever, 5. And we're like, these are your 5 senses. That's all you've got. That's you, right? And then people talk about this intuition. So most people say, I have a feeling about this, or kind of felt that, and I kind of sense something isn't right in this situation. So, and
those are your mental faculties, Dave. Those are and that's what you're saying. Most people, 95% of the people, or 90%, operate from the outside in. So that's the outside, what you see, taste, smell, hear, and touch, right?
And that's what you're talking about, is the 5.
Yeah. But think about the other ones we have. So we have our will, we have our perception. Even when you were talking about who knows about financial independence, retire early, my perception initially was, well, I don't want to retire. Why would I be interested? But it's not, like, it's what you said. So it's my perception of something, my imagination. So those mental faculties that we don't tap into, that are just waiting for us.
Yeah, and you'll see most people, most cultures in all locations would say they sense this and they feel something's right or is right. So I would agree with that. How long do you think it would take someone who's on this call tonight and says, right, okay, I think I connect with this, I feel this. How long would it take me to increase my income if I set a goal? Do you think?
I think it's in line with your belief. So if your belief, and the work that you do, so the stronger you can connect to your goal and believe that you're going to get there, the faster you're going to get there. And that sounds very wishy-washy, but it's true, because I have a whiteboard over there. I would write down on that whiteboard all the time. And I would go, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to get there. So my belief, it took me, well, people might say it didn't take me longer, but so you connect to your belief, and how much you repeat it, if that makes sense. So, and I don't even say repeat. If you can, you just said about the visualization. If you sit down, and it's almost like a movie, and you're the star of the movie, and you're in it, and you're imagining that you've reached your income goal. Who are you? Imagine sitting there, you've reached your income goal. What are you doing? What are you doing? And even add, so here's Dave already reached his income goal, and here's Dave now. And Dave, who's reached his income goal, should turn around to Dave now and say, hey, Dave, don't know what you're worried about it. You're going to get there. And just have that, and the more you visualize, it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, it works 100%.
Just personally anyway, because this is interesting, this stuff, because people don't talk about this, but I don't get particularly excited when I hit goals, because when big things happen, if I'm blessed with something good, I've seen it a thousand times. So when it happens, it's like, yeah, well, it's not like a surprise. I always say to my wife, I'm like, but I told you about it 3 years ago. Like, I told you that was going to happen. And she's like, I know you're driving me mad about it, but I see these things happen. I think that's the visualization. And it's similar to it's having a goal. If you look at most people, they write down a goal in January, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And like 3 weeks later, there's no one in the gym. But I think, as you said, it's about like tasting it, seeing it, feeling it. You've got to actually create that emotion, and then you plant that seed, as I said initially in the beginning, not just the financial side. I think there's truth in this.
And I adore that, Dave, that you say you've already done it, because I've heard that before too. It's like, oh my God, are you so excited to get the new car? And it's like, well, I've already driven it. And I write it down. There, you can't see it. I'm trying to put it in your camera, but I write it down on a card, and I just keep it with me, and I put a time and I put a deadline. So by December, I've earned this and this and that, and I, whatever it is, you know what I mean? At the time, it was to work 30% less and earn a certain income. Yeah. And that's,
Yeah.
and what Richard's talking about is a lot of, Richard, you're right. It is, Napoleon Hill does talk a lot about that. You're right. Absolutely. Did we lose Dave?
Fiona O'Keefe, great presentation. Thanks, Helen. Connor Walsh, really great, Helen. Thanks. Craig sent one to me. Thank you, Chris. Do you tell your clients to invest in crypto, or is that too distracting? Cryptocurrencies.
Like, I wouldn't, as a financial advisor, tell people to invest in crypto. But well, I'm here as a mindset mentor, right? So I like multiple streams of income. You know, you don't. And Richard, I agree with what you said about their Napoleon Hill. Your income comes through you. It doesn't come by your company, it comes through you. So if you're setting up multiple streams of income and you want to get knowledgeable about crypto and invest in it, and you're happy, you know, with the risk profile, then that's, you know, like, risk reward is, there's always a ratio to it. So I have everybody make up their own mind. Yeah.
Question here came in as well on Facebook. How do, this is actually one of the hardest things, I think, but how does someone create their goal? So you create the goal and then all the other stuff. How do you create the goal? So someone sat there like, and then maybe they are on the sofa and they're saying, I'm on the sofa, like I need to do something. I feel I want to do something, but I don't know what my goal is. Right? What would you say to that, Helen?
And write down your wants, right? That's the first thing. So write down your wants. What do you really want? And be honest, fantasize, put on some music, just sit down and write everything you want. And then look at them and say, well, what really is burning to me? What is really, what do I, is working, you know, working, when I say remotely, but is kind of not being attached geographically important to me? Is the income important to me? Is it the freedom that's important to me? What is really important to me? But you have to be very specific. You know, I would like to earn this and have this much time free. I would like to do this, but okay, here's another example. You could have a goal that you know, you want to have a child. You know, you've had a difficult time having a child. So you visualize of that child in your arms. You know what I mean? So this is very, when you say, what do you do when you're not sure what you want, is sit down and start. The only reason you don't know what you want is you haven't spent enough time thinking about what you want. So just sit down and practice about what you want, and say, what is the one that I want most than anything, and then write it down and start going.
I think it's funny because a lot of people will listen to it. It sounds, even like I hear it sounds wishy-washy, but I believe in it, because a lot of people will listen to this and they'll say like, oh, I don't believe any of that, and none of I never believe in that stuff, and that's what, and these things don't happen to me. But on the flip side, it's like, well, what if we changed our mindset, as you said, and thought about these things and be open to it? Could it happen? So it's a funny one, but look at the sound, listen, and it can sound quite, you know, but it makes complete sense. You know, if you've been walking in this direction all your life, and it can be as simple as just changing direction and going this way and trying that path, you know. So are you going to stay on, Helen?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah? Got a few other questions there, so we can come to them after. So look, remind us again, where can people find you?
Oh, Collective Brilliance is my page on Facebook, and then I have a how to create, I just had my 100th member in my how to create wealth Facebook page, and you can connect with me there. Thank you.
All right, perfect. And a lot of people are saying thank you very much. So look, that's perfect.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Good stuff. So look, that was Helen there from How to Create Wealth, looking at building an abundance mindset, prosperity, changing our thoughts and emotions, and kind of how we look at things, which is mindset, guys. Back to mindset again. 95% mindset, to quote Helen, and 5% strategy. So how can we increase our income with that limited resource we have, which is time? So that was a good one. There's a lot of comments there. So Vincent, thanks Helen, and O'Sullivan, thanks Helen. Chris, thank you so much. Great takeaways. More than enough. So look, great stuff, guys. Okay, look, it's 9 o'clock. I promised you that before we go to informal chat, and I just want to thank everyone that turned up tonight, and I want to thank everyone that watches this back on recording, because there was about 150 people registered for this, but it's Saturday evening. I don't normally do them on a Saturday. People probably are having their takeaways, probably with their families, but they'll be watching this. I've got people messaging through the week to say, please record this because I want to watch it back. So if you're watching this back, thank you to you as well. Thank you to all the participants also for coming on this evening. And of course, thank you to the presenters. And Chris, thanks very much as well. Okay, so I hope there was something in there for each of you. There certainly was for me, and I will publish the next live event soon on live.firedave.com, probably to Q3, probably stick to what you wanted the last event from January over kind of 3 months. And I will make the recording available in the next few days. Please grab that's actually recorded. A reminder that this event, this free event, I made these events free, everything that's going on, is sponsored by dolphinutilities.com. That's your free bill switching service. So if you want to cut your expenses, and that's a quick way to do it, cut your expenses, you know what we do, all our services are free, whether you use this or not. Request a call back at dolphinutilities.com, pick which service you want, bang in your details, it takes a few minutes, and we'll WhatsApp you, we'll call you, whatever you want, we'll work through that service with you. Let's get the speakers back on webcam. Let's do our informal bit this evening. There's so much information in this, right? Personally, I'm Fire Dave. You can find me at Instagram as well. I'm new to Instagram the last 6 months, but I'm picking up a following here. It seems to be people are tapping into this at Fire Dave G. You know my website's live.firedave.com, firedave.com, and dolphinutilities.com. And thank you again. Let's just go to the comments here and see. We've got questions as well. Thanks to everyone. O'Sullivan, thanks to all. Richard, to everyone. Thank you, Dave, to all the presenters. Vincent, thanks, Dave, for organising. Thanks for a great event. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, perfect. And thanks to everyone from Ali. A lot of great information learned from this evening. And O'Sullivan has been with us since day one. He's in the mastermind group as well. Thank you to Dave and all the speakers. Who have we got on the call? We've got 25 on. Alva, are you on the call?
Yep, still there.
Right, you're there. Megan is in Portugal. I'm not sure if she will actually still on the call. We've got Helen. Let's have a look. Perfect. All right. Guys, have you got any questions? Alva, have you any questions?
Nothing straight on the spot, but I just wanted to say that I was really impressed by Megan's presentation and how she went through that whole journey. It's something I've gone through myself at times, and the way she opened up like that, yeah, I'm not sure if she's still here, but I really respect that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Helen, I think you mentioned as well, so you had a situation a few years ago, and money's taboo in Ireland still, like generally, and so talking about things that are happening. So it's good to see people coming on and talking about their experiences, and then how they keep punching and moving forward. So I agree with that as well. Andrew D, great event as usual, Dave. Love Megan and Helen's presentations, a breath of fresh air. Some feedback for you, Helen, there, look, breath of fresh air. All right, let's have a look at this. Alva, how can someone, a question came in, create a budget and stick to it? So they're coming into fire, create a budget and stick to it. I think Helen knows the answer.
Ooh, it's very much. So say you've got nothing set yet and you want to get to a budget and actually stick to it and let it be realistic. Track your spending for a month or two and just write everything down. They're pretty, depending on the country, and they're pretty decent servers to track things automatically just from your bank statement. But if not, that's fine. Just at the end of the month, download your bank statement, go through bits and categorize them and check, hey, this is how much I spent on housing. This is how much I spent on this and this. And if you already happen to know, just fill it into a spreadsheet and then collect a couple months of data. So you build a realistic idea of what you're actually spending. And that's obviously the easy bit. And if you're then talking about sticking to it, what I also like doing is having a checking account and a separate savings account, and just transferring the amount you have available for shopping. So for example, just get yourself a separate checking account, transfer 100 a month or 200, and just simply use that. So you don't have any of the other cash available. That's one I always quite liked.
Guys, I totally agree with that. Guys, put your webcams on if you have the ability to do it. Aoife is on the call. I'm going to just pull Aoife on as well. Aoife, if you want to, if you're in a position to speak as well, feel free. Aoife was a previous, I've just noticed, speaker on the event as well. And guys, feel free to come off mute if you want to ask any questions as well. It's close the audience this evening, so we're a good group. Craig, thanks Dave and the presenters. I totally agree with what you're saying, Alva. You know, there's so many different ways now to set up the budget. You know, even like you've got the Revolut accounts with you've got these little sub, what do they call them, safes or whatever you can put your money into. But I think Helen would come in and say that sticking to the budget. What would you do, Helen, to stick to the budget then when you've set it up?
I think Alvar said that, like the biggest thing for me, and I actually have something here, was pay yourself first, right? So, you know, have some funny money. So in other words, if it's 10% or 15%, just have something that's for you. Because I think I always used to be anti-budget because I don't say anti-budget, but I was like, that's no fun, you know. But if you allocate something that's fun for you, then the budgeting process is great. And who said it? Was it Alvar? Who said it? I'm just trying to remember. I think it was Alvar who said it. Was like sometimes you're just spending, or even I was thinking of you, Dave, because I was thinking of Dolphin Utilities, to be honest with you, because I was like, who wants to spend more money on utilities, especially with all this talk about them going up? Like, if there's things that you absolutely can save money on, then why wouldn't you, right? So if you examine, I would do the same thing that Alvar said, spend 30 days going through everything, fine tooth comb, seeing what you're wasting money on, but also just, you know, pay yourself something because you're working hard. So make sure that you pay, you know, that you, I think what I always said was, like, people say, oh, you should give up your fancy coffees or something. And somebody told me, and I was like, but I like my coffee. So if I want my one coffee a day, then I have my one coffee a day and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. Right. But so put aside, in summary, put aside some money that you want, and then the budget becomes more fun. Make it fun. That's my thing, you know.
100%.
And I'm going to be the boring person who comes up with, well, and automate as much as you can. In a sense, make it easy. As human beings, we're lazy in nature. And everything you can automate in that is something like, I don't budget anymore at all. I just spend, and I have a rough idea of what goes out a month, and that's it. So I don't think it's worth tracking it. The effort that goes in against what you get back. It's easier to just buy the things you need and just make wise choices. And heck yeah, you're right. If you want that coffee, go and get it, please.
And I like what you said. I like what you said, Alvar, because like if you just automate it, like I did that, like automate certain amount goes into this account, certain amount goes to this account, certain amount this goes account, and then it just flows, right? Because the budget's there. And as you said, I think I didn't do it because like we're lazy. You're right. I would say that. I just found it boring. That's true. But then I set it up automated. So yeah, he's right. That's true too. Yeah.
And there are many people who make the argument that sometimes paying with cash is better because then you have a better idea of what you spend. I would also argue, and this might sound crazy, but actually spending on a credit card will help you stick to a budget because it will all fit into one bill, and top of that, everything is insured, which is very nice. But I buy everything through a credit card. I get one bill a month, and that's it, which is very nice to just track it through that. The main reason is the insurance, but it does stick it, you know, it does mean you've got one bill, and I'm sure that's in Ireland. You've got a couple credit cards too that give some cash back, or would actually be worth getting.
I would agree with that because I actually use multiple credit cards. I repay them all in full when they need. So I don't actually go into interest.
Yes.
You'd not want to be. You'd want to know how to. If you're going to use a credit card as a spend, you'd want to be able to repay in full whatever you use. So I put my purchases on for certain reasons. One, for tracking as well, because I track on the credit cards what I use them for. So when I go to the accountant, I can clearly see for what purpose I've got the cards. But if you are going to get credit limits and then you are going to spend them and you can't handle the credit limits, it's better to just not have one and just have maybe a debit card. There's maybe no advantage to having a credit card, you know? What do you think?
Brian, if I might ask, how is your setup looking with bank accounts? Do you just have one together and like a personal account?
So I have multiple accounts, and I've actually got, I think I can be paid in pretty much most accounts that exist. So I've got, I've got multiple accounts. I can receive payment and send payment in multiple currencies. And I structure it in a way, because the hardest thing for me was when I was doing the tax returns. If you have everything in one account, it's too messy. So I structure mine with different credit cards, and I've got different accounts, and but I don't hold a lot of money anyway. I move money quite quickly. So because I'm buying real estate, as soon as there's no advantage to saving money. Like inflation's like so high, and it's eating into money. So I also move money a lot, and I try and put it into real estate as fast as possible. So as soon as I've got the money to get it to buy, I buy, put the money to work, and rinse and repeat. So, but I've got liquid money too. But I don't advise anyone to use credit cards unless you can repay them and you already have the money, you know. But I use the bank's money, but I have this money already. It's just similar to yourself. And I structure my accounts. I structure my accounts in a way that that it's clear to read at the end of the year. Let's just put it that way.
Dave, there are two questions there. There are no credit cards that give bonuses like in the US or the UK and Ireland. Aer Lingus does, I think, because that. Yeah, and then also, where do you leave your emergency fund?
Yeah, the Bank of Ireland credit card works alongside Aer Lingus, and the only thing in Ireland, when I looked into this before, that is available, it's not as advantageous as the States, is Avios points. Avios points can be earned like super value, and you can convert them over to, you have like an Avios account. So you could get them in super value, you could do online surveys that pay in Avios points, and they all feed into your Avios account. I think with the Aer Lingus card, from memory, like for every €3 you spend, you get an Avios points. It's pretty rubbish. And then
you have to pay for it, I think. Like you have to pay for the card at premium.
Well, I think it's like $7.99. I have one of them actually as well. I think the card is $7.99 a month. That's what we pay for that one. That's a personal one. And then you get these rewards, but they're
nothing like the States.
Yeah, you get like VIP lounge access when you travel. So we use that sometimes, and we get like free reward flights with Aer Lingus, but and we only get it for the travel insurance, because the $7.99 gives us worldwide travel cover plus skiing, which we pay anyway that price. So just get the card, and then it's the reason I got it. And I think the first year I got it, it had a promo where you get the first year free. So we have that one, but I don't bother with the reward flights and stuff as much anymore. And what else do we get as a benefit through it? Yeah, you collect Avios points, and you can use them for like hotel stays and rental cars and stuff like that. So yeah. But apart from that, I don't think there's any other good credit cards worth looking at. I think the advantage of a credit card maybe is you can dispute a transaction because it's on credit. So you can dispute with the credit card company. You're kind of some level of insurance with the credit card.
That's the main one. I've had multiple times where I managed to claim flights and other bits back through a credit card, and that's hundreds.
And renting cars. Sorry.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, you also get rental car insurance with some of them.
The first thing they do is they block off like €1,000, and they need a credit card. So it's pretty essential to have one for that. But I think
you need it for car rental.
I think if someone's struggling financially and they're not good with money, then probably best to avoid a credit card full stop for a while, you know, until you get a handle on it, and then you can use it proactively as opposed to reactively, you know.
And just that thing, and we talked about debt, but that I would definitely say, like if you do have a credit card and you are paying it off, like a debt clearance account, just set up the certain amount you're putting in and forget about it, you know, because if you keep thinking debt, you're not going to think of it. You know what I mean?
I think like On Post have like a 12-month or 6-month credit interest-free balance. So some strategies I would often help people with, if they're asking me in the past with credit cards, is to One, if you ring up the credit card company, you can get like promotional interest rates. So they might say, right, I can give you this interest rate for the next 3 months. Okay, I'll take it. Or try and move the balance like an interest free while you pay it off. Because let's say you owe 20, let's say you owe like not 20,000, let's say you owe like something tiny like 4,000 on the credit card, for example, right? And you say, okay, right, well, each month I'm paying, I don't know, like 19% or whatever. If you can move that for 12 months, say you got 4,000 left to pay, that's all you have to pay. Whereas if you leave it on the interest rate, it's that reverse negative compound effect. So I think there's a lot you can do with credit cards. You can, like, if you ring up the credit card company and say, I'm looking to move onto another credit card, they'll start throwing a low interest rate at you, if not giving you a break. So you can do stuff with that. But it's when I think it can spiral quite quickly, you know. And credit's given out so easily, Alva, no? You can get, and Helen, in the States, like, I think when you arrive, you just get like a lot of credit thrown at you as well. There's a lot of credit.
Oh yeah, definitely. But you also get all the bonuses, you know. So sometimes I'm American, so obviously sometimes I just have my parents book my flight, so they get all the bonus points, and then I just send them the cash because they get so many points. You know, we don't get anything for our credit.
You get the Marriott and stuff over there, right?
Marriott points, but they have all their credit cards are attached to, you know, American Airlines or any of the airlines, you know, for free tickets. They get tickets all the time. So
you can use credit cards in the UK to rebuild your credit rating and stuff like that. In Ireland, there's no advantage for that anyway.
Just looking at that card, it's really not that bad. It has some. It's definitely not comparable, but you know, you get the lounge cards, you get insurance on top, which is very decent and would cost you like $100 a year anyway if you need to get travel insurance.
Yeah,
it looks reasonable.
It's the Aer Lingus one with the lounge pass and stuff.
Yeah.
There's some benefits we get. So you've got the winter sports, the winter cover on the insurance, and yeah, you've got some benefits every else and that. It's okay. The flights are only kind of during peak time and stuff, but guys, what else did you want to look at there in terms of the savings rate? That was a question that came in over. How can people get their savings rate up? You talked about an 80% savings rate, which is 80%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So remind us, how did you get to an 80% savings rate? Because you've been at that for a long time.
Yes, just live ridiculously cheap, have a partner, and
over there, or what?
Say again?
You're eating super noodles for dinner every night, or?
But if you think about it, so you know that's €900 for me. Throw another 900 for my partner on top. You're talking 1,800 monthly. That's not that bad of a monthly amount for a couple to live on if you think about it. And rent comes out of that, but yeah, that gives a pretty decent quality of life. And obviously, if you would add kids in the mix, that would never work. Then you need to do $4,000. But I don't think 1,800 is that odd for a couple to live on. We live cheaply, but not that insane. But no, I don't really batch cook. We mainly buy from Lidl, to be honest. Once a week, go in and yeah, just from there. And I think the main things we save on, because our rent is so massively cheap. That's the main bit why everything is so cheap. And in the UK, the NHS covers your healthcare already through your taxes. So I'm not sure how this works in Ireland, but that's why there's no €200 a month health insurance column for me, because it's already paid through my taxes.
Yeah, and no, that makes complete sense. And Lawless asked a question at Alva: do you batch cook as well?
No, I tried it at times, but nah, life is too unpredictable to batch cook each week.
Yeah, no, 100%. So Alva, if you did fire today, what would you do tomorrow?
Volunteering, most likely. Well, actually, first go traveling for 6 months, but afterwards, then find a charity where I can do some volunteering work that normally couldn't afford IT people, and work free of charge for them. That would probably be what I would do.
Oh, good answer. So I'll ask one for you, Helen, that came in here. This is generic, actually, but if you were starting fresh tomorrow, Helen, and you wanted to get the most bang for your effort, what would you do first thing tomorrow to help you fire or reach your goal?
What was I'm sorry, Dave.
If you were starting fresh tomorrow, I know you said that you were, let's say for yourself in your presentation, that you have the fitness business and you have that.
Yeah.
If you were starting fresh tomorrow from where you've got to today, and you wanted to get the most bang for your effort, okay, like you said, bang for your buck, bang for your effort, the most result for your effort, what's the first thing you would do to help yourself fire or help yourself reach your goal? What would you do tomorrow if you're starting again with the experience that you have today?
I would write out a clear plan, you know what I mean, and I'd have self-belief in it. So I think I've spent a lot of time in fear all the time, you know. Well, what if I can't do this? What if people think about me? What will, you know? Well, yeah. So I think, not I think I know, and I'm breaking through that, which is just I would just go for it and not worry about what other people think or say, and not be afraid.
Who do you think was probably one of the most influential people in your life then? Or who do you follow that you found to be quite influential?
Oh dear. Well, I mean, I work, you know, Bob Proctor's one of my mentors, and I think I work with him, and I see that as that. But I think familial wise, you know, for sure my mother, you know, I think that my mother was a professional, PhD, very driven. Her generation, you know, she might have been a doctor, but she didn't, because that wasn't the angle she went. But she's the one who said to me when I was starting up the business and I was leaving my full-time job, this is in 2003, sure, what's the worst that can happen? When I told her I wanted to move to Ireland, she was like, what's the worst you can happen? You can come home. You know, so there was always an optimism, I don't want to say optimistic, but an always kind of can do, go for it. Yeah. So professionally, there's many people that I look at, but personally, I would say, yeah, my mom.
I like that. And this question came in here, Chris, from Chris. What's your favorite money podcasts? So that's to anybody.
Oh, from Chris asking me?
Well, anybody really. Maybe,
okay. Well, maybe Alvar has a good money podcast.
You recommend one there? Something to do with Europe?
Sure. I've not been actively involved with that one for a good while. But one podcast I really like is the Meaningful Money podcast, which is really decent. It's UK focused, but it's just very good generic finance advice. And you got the usual ones with the Choosify podcast, the Financial Independence podcast, which are both quite decent. But if you would ask me to recommend anyone, I would go for Meaningful Money. Planet Money is just a generic one from the US. I very like. Let me grab my phone because I got quite a few.
And while Alvar's looking, I would say to Chris, like, this is going to sound a little controversial, but there's many money podcasts out there, and there's people will always tell you, like, I think we're in a habit of I need more information, right? And then we end up doing less. So Alvar's going to find you a bit more, and it's always good to educate ourselves, but at the same time, sometimes you know exactly what you need to do, just go take action, you know. Sorry, that's controversial, I'm sure, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Helen, I read something yesterday morning that all the intelligence of the universe and everything we need to know is already within us. So you're saying go within, and some people are saying go out and look for more of the time. Is that right? We have it already. The answers inside of us, what we need to do, right?
Yep. That's it, Dave. There's a knowing doing gap. You know, we all know what we need to do, but are we doing it? That's all.
All right, well, look, we'll wrap it up now in a second. It's been a good event this evening. I've enjoyed it. Alva, have you anything you want to add before we finish?
No, and I just really like what Helen said regarding, now, do you really need to overload yourself with information in the sense? Because one thing I always stick with, we only have a finite amount of willpower each day. You can only get so much done. And yes, a podcast is amazing to listen to, but I often overload myself too with 20 different podcasts. I've removed a lot of them recently. But yeah, any Irish one, or any Irish ones would probably be Michael's podcast, who has been on the event also a bunch of times.
Perfect. No, All right, guys, look, it's 9:30. We'll close it off. Again, thanks so much for coming on. And thanks to everyone else who joined this evening and people who are going to actually watch this back later, and the other Jesse and Megan who actually dropped off early after their presentations. Look, I'll make this available, record this recording available afterwards, and on live.fadeover.com. You can log into your account. I'll email it out to everybody. Thanks so much again, and we'll catch up again next time. Good evening.
Thank you, Dave. Nice
Cheers,
to meet
Dave.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. I'm going to share my screen, but before I do that, I'm laughing. I think I got the buzzword upside down, but that's okay, which is I might say more than enough so many times that everybody gets something, which is brilliant. There's one, it's like Ryan Tuberty for you Irish people. There's one for everyone in the audience. Thank you so much. And there's, you know, oh, you disabled sharing, screen sharing, if you can,
Yes, I'm just
enable it. Okay,
Yeah,
super. Just a couple things before I share my screen, because I mean, although I've prepared a presentation, fingers crossed I've come prepared, I do like to integrate what I've heard and also I think give you a sincere compliment here, Dave. I think you've put together quite a cohesive panel and there's quite similar themes throughout it. You know, when Jesse was talking about the money mastermind and investing, like, I mean, just for the people in the audience, like my background is investing. And whilst I was listening, because of this mindset that I'm going to share with all of you, which is this abundance mindset, my thing was, you know, if you're compounding, irrespective of deemed disposal, irrespective of exit tax, all of those things, if you have an abundance mindset and you're doing it on a regular basis, it will yield the rewards. And I think that even listening to Alvar saying there, you know, I could work one day, right, and cut back my budget so much so, but then life would be really boring. And I was laughing because I was like, that's exactly what I think is this is. And when I said to you, I knowing somewhat what FIRE is I kept saying, I want to be doing something that I love so much that financial independence is a byproduct of it, but that I'm doing what I love, that I don't ever need to retire, right? So, and I think as I go through my presentation, part of that is my background and my upbringing. You know, my father was a New York City police captain, and then he also had 2 other occupations after that. And what you'll notice whilst we look at trends is that we are very much a product of our habits and our backgrounds and where we come from. So keep that in mind when I talk about paradigms, which are the multitude of habits that we have that really are developed very early in age, like what we like to eat, what we like to do. And that's really comes from our family. So if we want to change things and develop this money mindset or develop this abundance, we need to look at how we're going to do that. And even just to say on Megan, and it's a shame I didn't get to chat with her there because I was introduced to her by Aoife, and we hosted something before again on this kind of abundance mindset. And I'll be honest, probably about 7 years ago, I went through something similar. Now, it wasn't burnout. Well, I didn't label it as burnout. I labeled it as hope out, which was I had come through the recession in 2008, and I am everything I think a lot of us are, that Megan says, you know, that a personality that is, you know, driven to reach their goals, to get what they want. And I had to unwind my fitness franchises, and it was a big blow. And it was also kind of like, what do I do now? I actually thought I had nothing I could do, and I did exactly what Megan said, which was seek help so that I could bounce back. And here I am 7 years later, you know, a very comfortable 6-figure income. And I hope I can impart some knowledge for all of you. But what I would say on that is that the first thing was acknowledging it and thinking, what could I do about it? And that's, so when you hear a common theme tonight, what I'm going to talk about is that we can do whatever we want if we see ourselves from the inside out. So it's just as Megan was saying and Dave was saying, you know, if you turn off the news, if you turn off certain amount of things that you don't want to see on social media, then you're actually going to be operating from where you want to, using your mental faculties, which is what you perceive things to be, what you want to do. instead of allowing everything to come at you. So let me, I just wanted to add those are kind of a little impromptu, but that's more along the lines of just listening to everyone and really feeling blessed to be amongst you, because I think, you know, your vibe is your tribe, and I like this tribe. So more than enough. This is something that I came up with because at that time, 8 years ago, I wondered, was I more than enough? You know, questioning who I was and what I was, and could I have more than enough? And also, even fast forward, going into these last 3 years, when I'm sitting down with clients looking at financial plans, the thing I always hear is, I don't know if I have enough, you know, and tell me, you know, how many holidays I can take, or tell me what I can do based on what I have. And what I was saying to Dave when I was speaking to him, when he generously invited me here, was, Dave, why don't we re-engineer this? Why don't we look from where we want to be and what we can do, because we can create whatever we want, and work backwards. Now, obviously, with a lot of you on this call, it might be, you know, to leave that job and do what you want 7 years from now. And I'm going to give you some creative ideas as well, because we've been talking a lot about ETFs, which like I've been in Ireland, what, 20 odd years now. You can hear the American twang. I dealt in stocks and shares, but there's other things out there. There's, you know, private equity. There's a lot of other investment vehicles and things that might be a little bit riskier, but also have a greater return that can help with financial independence. So just, and this is what I mean when I say, when you're thinking from the inside out, you're being creative, you're allowing things to come to you. So more than enough, right? And this is my theme for today. And how to create wealth was, and why I named my business that, was really kind of a play on my initials, Helen Creegan Walsh. I couldn't give up the Creegan part, sorry guys. But 95% mindset, 5% strategy. You know, more people, I think this is why we're all kind of here. We're working harder, longer hours for the same income, less time. And as a mindset and prosperity coach, what I do is help people earn more and work less. And I don't say that like so quickly like that. I say that because in May of last year, when I was doing my day job, which is a financial advisor, I was scared to step out and to start this, right? I had experienced this. I'd been doing the Thinking Results program for the last 6 years on a regular basis. But I was like, oh gosh, I've just gotten to a good income. Oh gosh, do I really want to do this? And I realized, you know, what's my purpose? What do I want to do? And if I have always kind of been the glass kind of full person, always did things without thinking about them. You know, like when you drive your car and you're suddenly like, how did I get there? They call that an unconscious competence. And that's kind of what I was. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll start this business. Okay. But then you have what's a negative emotional impact, which is what I had, which is the recession hit. And I got stuck, right? And there's 2 ways you change things in your life. One is that, like a negative emotional impact where you get stuck, right? Where something happens. 9/11 was one. The recession was another, probably the pandemic is another, where because of a negative thing, we start boom, and we put ourselves into action. But the other way, which I'm going to share with you, is by repeating what you want over and over again, very specifically, because this is a science, and we operate on a level, like a frequency, that things will start coming to us. And I loved what you said, because this couldn't have been, and by the way, guys, I prepared this, you know, way before today, but like, we do have 5 types of wealth. This isn't just about money. And I always feared when I said how to create wealth, that people would think, oh, she's just about money. And it's actually quite the opposite. It's, you know, that inner wealth. How are our thoughts affecting who we are? Because we're either growing or disintegrating. So how are we doing? Economic wealth, obviously, because that's money. It needs to circulate. We need that so that we can, you know, do the things we want to do, help the people we want to help. Physical wealth, time wealth. You know, I remember someone in my organization saying to me, sure, how can you be a prosperity and mindset coach? You're not the top. And I said, no, I had one goal. and was earned under 100 grand a year, and to do it in 30% less time. And I'm not saying that like to brag, but I'm saying that was my single-minded goal. It was very specific. It took me 3.5 years for, well, like, let's call it 7 years to get there. I started at a minus, but the point is it was very specific because I wanted more time with the boys. I have 2 young men, and I wanted to have an income that I could move to, like, well, not move to, that I could use for things. So social wealth, goodness, if we haven't seen that, I mean, what has happened, we realize our friendships, our family, even this, I mean, we're on a computer, but I feel this kind of connection, and I feel how important that is. Earl Nightingale, one of my mentors alongside Bob Proctor, says your world is a living expression of how you are using and have used your mind. And I'd like to encourage you to think about that when we go through this, and that the sense of everything around you is how you're thinking, what you're thinking. And that can be really powerful in saying, well, if I think differently or I shift my thinking, I can now create what I want. And a worthy ideal. So when we're going to talk about goals, and I'm sorry, that should say setting and achieving worthy goals, but it says worth. And I said, well, maybe that's supposed to be self-worth there. So I left it, I didn't change it, but really setting and achieving worthy goals. And what I mean by that is goals that are going to make you jump out of bed in the morning to get started, goals that are going to excite you. Goals are there for one purpose, and that's to make you grow. They're not there to beat you with a stick, because I had to learn that the hard way. They're not there to make you feel bad about yourself. They're there to make you grow. And the definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So read that. I would read that again. The definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. My son had a football match today, and we went, and they won. Well, they tied 2-2, but he said he didn't play very well. But he put something in the chat, our family chat, and he said, not a great day at the office, but still have 16 goals and 5 assists, 1 more to reach my goal. And I really loved that. I loved that, because, okay, you're heading towards your goal. It doesn't matter if it wasn't always a great day. It doesn't matter if it's going to take you a little bit longer, but you're heading in the right direction of where you want to go. And that's very powerful. So, I just want you to think differently of goals really here. And then what I was saying about staying in control no matter what the circumstances. And really, when you do change your thoughts and shift that, you can change your life. Whoa, I think I went backwards. Sorry. So just a question for you. Now, Dave, I'm sorry, because I can't see, so I don't know if there are any questions or anything. You might just, can you let me know?
Yeah, I think everybody's tapped into what you're saying, but there's nothing come through.
Okay,
yet.
super. No, that's okay. If there is anything okay, so do you have a goal? So what I always say to people is, and you might kind of say, gosh, is she going to talk to me about goal setting? I've heard goal setting 20 million times, and I thought I had to. The difference when I looked at this was I actually didn't have a goal, or if I did, it wasn't making me very excited. But also, I kind of, as I explained to you, I maybe was at a turning point. That's what I called it. But right now, if I met you on the street and I said, do you have a goal? I said, yeah, I do. But is it written down? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Are they written down? Do they belong to you? So in other words, my goals are different to your goals than different to someone else's. As I just mentioned there, you could see someone else measured his goal saying I wasn't the top in the organization, even though I was whatever, the top 10 or top 20, because my goal was different. So do they belong to you, or do they belong to somebody else? The other thing is, what do you really, really want? If you think about young kids, if you think about when you were younger, or look at your children if you have them, and when they're sitting in the classroom or they're sitting at home, they're fantasizing, they're using their imagination, they're wondering what they want to do. And a lot of times we stop doing that because we get a mortgage, we get a house, we get a car, we get responsibilities, and we stop really imagining, what do we really want? What excites us? What kind of gets us going? What do you really want? So let's talk about the 3 types of goals that I want to describe for you here today. And I'd love to hear either now or afterwards, where you feel your goals are. So an A-type goal could be a goal that is doing something you already know how to do. So an A-type goal could be possibly, well, okay, I'll just give you an example. You know, I could have met my friend and she's like, look, you know, I need to get a new car. Okay, what kind of car do you want to get? And she's like, oh, I want to get a new Kia, you know, and I said, okay, what kind of car are you driving now? She's driving a Kia. Like, she already has that. She knows how to do that. You know, that's not very exciting. And you can see she's not really motivated to do that, really, unless it breaks down like mine did last week, but she's not that motivated. B-type goals, and they're what you think you can do. And this is where I think a lot of people are, I know I was, which is, what do you think you can do? So this is where companies are. This is where, you know, your sales teams are, the projections are. You sit down, you make out a list, you write everything you want, and you go, okay, if this and this happens, then this will happen. Like, you know, I can go on a holiday this year because we've done our budget. We know exactly where we are. And it even comes to fire, you know, if we calculate this, and all these spreadsheets are so important, guys, don't get me wrong, but if we calculate this, we can be financially independent in 7 years' time. You know, if that's a 4% rate or a 7% rate and everything. And a C-type goal is really what you want, what you really want. So that comes from when I was talking to you about that young child sitting in the classroom. It's your fantasies. It's originated through the effective use of your imagination. And just to touch on this for a second, most people are really, they are thinking, obviously, but most people are reacting to everything around them. Like I said, the news, everything else, and saying, I can't grow my business in COVID. I can't do this. I can't do this. Rather than saying, what do I want? And really going after what they want. Now, C-type goals, you know, they're not based on fact, right? But you know that, you know, God, I'm 45. I really want to retire by 60. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, or 55 in 10 years. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. My fire figures say this, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go ahead. And because you're tapping into that creativity, you're tapping into that part of your subconscious. And there's so much we could cover on this, but you're tapping on this. You're tapping into, you know, your conscious mind counts for about 5% of your activity. It's your thinking mind, whereas your emotional mind that gets you to do everything, to take the action, it's your subconscious mind. So if you keep repeating something, I'm so happy that I can retire in 7 years' time, things will start moving towards you. Now that sounds crazy, it sounds nuts, but I'm telling you, it happens. And I've seen it happen for me. I always used to say, and I did this unconsciously, but I always just say, God, wouldn't it be great if I lived in Europe? And I know that I really want to be flexible with my time. I don't want a full-time job. I want to have flexibility. And I would let it go. I wouldn't really think about it, but I keep kind of thinking that. And as I reflected back on different things that happened, good and bad, I realized that my thoughts really controlled a lot of the things that actually happened for me. And you can do that too. So the question is, here are these setting the goals, but what do you do? What do you do, right? You take action, okay? I don't even know how I am for time, Dave. Oh gosh, okay. You take action. Megan touched on gratitude, and I'm not sure if this is something you do, but I would say when we're thinking of abundance and when we're looking at getting more coming towards us, and when I say more so that you can do more, you know, gratitude is a great practice to be grateful for what you have today. I'm so happy and grateful I have a healthy body. I'm so happy and grateful that I have a warm home around me. I'm so happy and grateful that, you know, I have a job to go to, that I love everyone that I work with. Because the sooner you tap into being grateful for everything you have now, the more you leave room to be grateful for everything else. And then what you do is you fantasize. And I love this one. And I really, you know, if you haven't, I'd really encourage you to take these down and just experiment with them, have them a bit of fun, but write down. And this is, I know, guys, you're probably thinking, like, as a very left brain person, a lot of this stuff is very right and right brained, but the imagination is so powerful. So write out 50 wants. And I remember when I started this, and I did this many years ago, and I practice this and do this on a regular basis. I just keep adding to them. But when I started writing them, streams of tears came down because I was like, what do I really want? And sometimes what people say is, sure, I have everything I want. I have this, I have that, I have that. And sometimes we say we have everything we want because we're afraid to say what we really want. We'd love to be working 3 months abroad. We'd love to be taking a trip around the world. We'd love to make sure our children had maybe an education outside of the US or somewhere outside the US, outside of Europe, or it actually you'd love to take your parents on a magnificent holiday. It actually doesn't matter what your wants are. It matters that you actually say to yourself, you know what, I do want more, right? Because we are abundant beings. And when we say that, we'll start attracting what we want. So you take those 50 and you look at them and you say, okay, so out of those, what would be the top professional and the top personal want? What would they be? If I really wanted them, like maybe you want a house, you're saying, okay, I'd really like to buy my house, or I'd really like to have a house in the next 3 years. Okay, so what do I need? Write that down. And you're going to write down, the more specific you are, the better. I really want to have, I loved what you were saying, Dave, like I really want to have 750,000 or 550,000 or 1 million in my financial independence retire early pot. And then just let it go. Just say it and let it go. Who are you kidding? What? Don't worry about it. And then list the 6 habits that you're going to change, because I'll just give you an example. If you're earning 50 grand a year, but you want to earn 75 grand a year, your habits to earn 50 grand a year are not the ones that'll be to earn 75 grand a year. So who do you need to be? What do you need to do that? And it could be something simple. It could be, as you said, taking the apps off your phone, not drinking as much alcohol. I mean, Megan said them, tick, 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 but they're whatever they are for you. Because those are the paradigms I was talking to you about. Because if you want sustainable change and you want to reach your goals, you look at 2 habits that you can work on straight away. Because if you have a non-productive habit, like scrolling through Facebook or comparing yourself, I don't even say scrolling through Facebook. Maybe, look, I'll give you one that I would say honestly is this compare-itis, oh my God, they're doing so great. Oh my God, they have everything. Oh my God. That's not very helpful. That's a non-productive activity, right? So in that hour that I keep looking at people and comparing them, maybe I could spend the hour working on my goal, working on who I could contact and reach and talk to about my business, or who I can contact and reach out and help. And I go to work, and we go to work, and we watch, and we start watching our results change. And I've seen it in my clients. I've seen it with myself. And then you'll see even that, remember I was talking about wealth, even that relationship wealth. I mean, one of the big goals of mine was to have a better relationship with my eldest son and I are like, I don't know, you call it chalk and cheese. And you just, I said, okay, and how can I change that? So always change. Like if you think about change the plan, but never the goal. And what I mean by that is that, there's this famous story, and if anybody's heard it, I'm sorry for repeating it, but if you want to climb Mount Everest, you the first time you go, you might get halfway there and you go, okay, I'll come back next year. The second time you go, you might get there. And the third time, that's persistence, but also you might have to change the plan. You might have to go sideways up the mountain, or you might have to look at, the route you're going. And that led me to just what I was listening and thinking there when you guys were talking about ETFs and unit link funds. Like the goal is always financial independence, but the plan can be different. And there's been a wonderful outline of different ways to do it. But what if the plan were, I mean, Dave talked about property, but what if the plan were to look at what other things are there and have a look? Because you see, when your goal is that exciting and you love it, things are going to start coming to you. I don't know, people talk about crypto, but there's other things, like there's an EIS scheme in Ireland where it's good tax relief for investment. There's loads of different things. But the point is that when you have a clear, distinct goal that gets you excited, go for it, and the plan can change. And always think abundance, because at the end of the day, once you're always thinking that, and look around you, all you have to do is, as Megan said, go out in nature and look around and see what is there, and know that there is abundance. We do think, I guess I'll leave you with another quote. We become what we think about all day long. And that is true. So if you, and things happen, guys, I've been there myself, and I hear myself starting, and then I go, stop. And then I think about what I want to think about. Or I always find an empowering thought out of a situation to the best of my ability. And remember, it's like anything. And I'll give you the best example. When you're changing a habit, it's going to be a bumpy ride sometimes, you know, and I always reflect, like, I've got teenagers, and sometimes I know they haven't brushed their teeth in the morning or the evening. So, have you brushed your teeth? Oh, yeah. And I'm like, toothbrush is dry. I'm like, no, you haven't. And I can't understand why a habit like that they can't do, right? But the reality is, it's a habit, and they just haven't formed it, and they just need to keep doing it until it becomes a habit. And it's the same thing with shifting your thoughts to create what you want. It's a habit. So don't give up. Persistence is the key, but we become what we think about all day long. As you said, Dave, there's my Facebook page, Collective Brilliance. One of my habits is to get more active on social media, so I will get there. But my Facebook group is How to Create Wealth. I share insights in there. I'd love for you to connect with me and reach out to me, and I'll connect with you on the social channels as well. The other thing I just wanted to say is, and this alludes to just what I was saying about just keep going, is, you know, I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back. You know, no matter how long it takes you, you're always going forward. And I think that's good, Dave. Am I okay for time? I was going to share one more thing, but I think we're good. Okay. All right.